everybody, it's Moira, and I want to talk to you guys about something that I've been struggling with this last year, and that is sleep. Never in my life have I had an issue with sleeping. I've always been a good sleeper. I'm a light sleeper, but I always fall asleep fine, never wake up during the night, except maybe to use the bathroom, and then I just go right back to bed. And this past year, I have had a lot of trouble sleeping, and there is nothing worse. Like, it affects everything in your life. So let me just kind of talk about that for a second. You know, digging into like the reality of how sleep affects me. If I am not sleeping, I cannot focus the next day. I cannot be present to whatever I'm trying to accomplish. My brain is foggy. My appetite is out of control. I'm moody. I'm just not as productive, you know? So sleep is so important. And I know we're in this era of, you know, kind of this, I'm an entrepreneur and I love, you know, studying other entrepreneurs. And for a long time, it's been like hustle, 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 grind, grind, grind. And there's been this kind of badge of honor that entrepreneurs have worn of these sleepless nights and pulling all-nighters and working, working, working. And thank goodness we are starting to have this shift to figure out how to be that high performer, but knowing that in order to be that high performer, we need to have some balance in our lives and we need to do things like sleep. Sleep is so important. So for me this past year, you know, I would be exhausted all day and then I would go to bed at night and I would just lay there and not be able to fall asleep. And yes, my wheels are turning, but my stress level is no higher than it's really ever been. My, you know, I don't really have anxiety. You know, my husband's always like, you need to stop thinking so much. And I'm like, that's impossible. This is how I was born. And I didn't used to have any trouble sleeping. So like, what's the issue? And so I changed some things that really, really have helped as of late. And, you know, I went through this for about 6 months where like I said, I would be exhausted. I would go to bed and then I would just lay there for hours and not be able to fall asleep. And it was like my body just wouldn't shut down. And I think a lot of that had to do with I got myself to such a point of exhaustion. It was like I was overtired. And so I started taking melatonin, and that's something I actually did for a lot of years whenever I needed it. And then this past year, whether it was the placebo effect or not, and that's a lot of what I want to talk about, you know, all these tips and tricks and tools may just be the placebo effect, but they're working for me. So for me, I was taking melatonin and then I was taking a little bit more melatonin and I got really dependent on it. I know the science behind it is that you can't become dependent physically on melatonin, but at the same time, I think I was mentally dependent on it. You know, if I didn't take it, I would get really scared that, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna sleep tonight because I didn't take the melatonin, or I don't have any, and what am I gonna do? I'm gonna be up all night, and we kind of create our own realities, right? So I, thank goodness, I traveled a lot this summer, and there were times where I was in different time zones and just really mixed up on my sleep. And I decided that I needed to just completely step away from the melatonin. So I got completely off of melatonin, and just that simple habit change seemed to alleviate some of that need for something. You know, my belief had become that I needed something to fall asleep. And so I pulled back from that. I also pulled back, it seems common sense, but I pulled back from my afternoon coffee. You know, I couldn't sleep, I was exhausted, I needed afternoon coffee. And so I finally decided to cut that out, and now I won't have coffee after, probably like 9 a.m. You know, I'll have a cup of coffee in the morning and that's it. And so I pulled back away from that. The other really big thing that I've been talking a lot about, which honest to God seems to have worked miracles in my house, because my son actually has problems going to sleep at night too. And just a few weeks ago, I started disconnecting our Wi-Fi at night, and it has helped. So I actually told my son and kind of explained it to him, and I was like, listen, I'm gonna disconnect the Wi-Fi tonight. Tell me tomorrow morning if you sleep any better. He fell asleep so fast, and this child does not sleep. I fell asleep so fast. Again, could all be in our mind, but it's working. So a couple other tips and tricks that I want to tell you about is I've started to kind of put into practice, you know, getting off of my phone, getting off of the computer and all the blue light well before I need to actually fall asleep. I've also started stretching. So I have a foam roller and I just place it on my back. My upper back seems always to be tight, and it's just heaven to roll on the roller right before I go to bed. So now it's like I have this routine. You know, I might take a hot bath or a hot shower some nights. That's a really big help to sleep for sleeping. I might have a glass or a cup of tea, but that's not a norm for me. But mine is kind of, you know, stretching, disconnecting the Wi-Fi, getting into bed with a book, like a real hard copy book, and just reading. And it's so cathartic for me to read at night. I love to read before I go to bed, and that helps to really just detach my mind from the everyday stuff that I need to be thinking about. And, you know, the other thing that I've done, especially when traveling, is an eye mask. So I have to sleep with darkness, and, you know, our bodies are designed this way. You know, if there's light coming in, it's like, okay, I need to be awake. If we are in complete darkness, think about how good you sleep in a hotel room when there's blackout shades. Like, you don't know when the sun comes up, and you might sleep 2 hours past when you would normally sleep. Another tip is, and I've heard this for years and I absolutely believe in it, is to try to go to bed and wake up at the same time every single day. Now, for me, that's really hard because a lot of nights I have team calls and I'm working late, and then I absolutely have to catch up a little bit on the weekend. And I know clinically, scientifically, they say you can't catch up, but my body feels so much more rested when I give myself an extra hour on a Saturday or Sunday. But that being said, Monday through Friday, it's clockwork. I wake up at the exact same time every single day, no matter what time I go to bed. You know, that morning routine sets the wheels in motion. That morning routine, that's a topic for another call, but that morning routine for me looks like waking up, prayer, meditation, visualization, looking at my goals, you know, doing some prayer, and then exercising, having a cup of coffee, having some time to collect my thoughts. That morning process is key. And if I'm up late and then I oversleep the next morning, I'm out of whack the whole rest of the day. So, you know, talking about the Wi-Fi, a lot of people have asked me, like, well, what does that do? Well, if you think about it, there are waves coming into your home that absolutely are going to stimulate your brain. So it's called EMF. I hate to use the word radiation. It's EMF pollution is another word that you could say. And the other thing is your phone. You know, I was sleeping for the longest time with my phone literally about a foot from my head. And so my phone is still a foot from my head, but I put it on airplane mode, and it just seems to help on such a deep level. So those are my thoughts. You know, I feel like there were some other things I wanted to talk about, but I guess that's it. And just know, I think one of the biggest motivating factors is, you know, I read and I follow and I study all of these successful entrepreneurs and what they're doing, and, you know, trying to kind of follow in their footsteps with habits. And the top producers, the top 1%, you know, the top performers, for lack of a better word, they are putting an emphasis on sleep. They are not doing what we used to do, thank God. So hopefully those tips will help you. They have completely shifted what my life looked like just a few months ago. And that lack of sleep will take a toll on your family. It takes a toll on your relationships, your work, your physical body, everything. You know, there's articles after article after article about if you want to lose weight, sleep more. It regulates your appetite. It regulates your hunger. So hopefully those help you guys. Have a great day, and make sure you subscribe or follow me wherever, you know, Instagram, YouTube, and all the things. And that's it from me. Bye, guys.